Mark, Elisa, Dr. Jeffrey Flynn is that doctor you talked about. He's from Glens Falls Hospital, one of several prosecution witnesses who took the stand today. He testified that little Jesse Smith was already in a full-blown coma when he was brought into the emergency room that February 2012 day. His brain was bleeding and one of his pupils were dilated, and those are all signs that the little boy was dying. When 15-month-old Jesse Smith was rushed to the hospital February 13, 2012, he was no longer breathing on his own. He had a skull fracture and a swollen, bloody brain, described by Dr. Flynn today in court as a catastrophic head injury, a dilated left pupil, one of the final signs that a patient is about to die. You're looking at still photos captured of today's proceedings as District Attorney Kate Hogan and Waite's defense attorney Mark Zuckerman questioned Dr. Flynn. Flynn today told the court Jesse's father, Gary Waite, told him the toddler fell from a sofa. Then, when Waite propped him in a chair to watch TV, he fell again, and then again just before being rushed to the hospital. In a blow to the defense, Dr. Flynn argued that Jesse would have likely become unconscious immediately after suffering such a severe brain injury, making him incapable of doing much of anything, including sitting up to watch TV. Now back here live at the Warren County Courthouse, Dr. Flynn also testified that he has seen several children with brain injuries. One had an elevator fall on its head, and the other child had a 300-pound tombstone crush its skull. Neither one of those children's injuries were as severe as Jesse's. He said Jesse had absolutely no chance of survival. Gary Waite, meantime, Jesse's father, is charged with murder and manslaughter, both in the second degree. The 29-year-old faces 25 years to life in prison if he's convicted. Live in Warren County, January Keaton, News 10 ABC. Well, everybody, the bad news is mosquito season has started early this year. But the good news is Lee County Mosquito Control is on the case.
We've been very busy.
Biting little bloodsuckers, mosquitoes can make just about any outdoor experience an uncomfortable and itchy one.
It has started off in late May.
Mosquito season usually runs from about June through October. This year's mosquito numbers already higher than last year's, says Shelley Redevin of Lee County Mosquito Control.
We've had more hatch out. We're treating more. Our first real high tide started in the beginning of June.
And with that high tide came coastal mosquitoes that were hatching off in droves. That's why the agency is already out in force.
We will put out ground trucks in the evening, and that's usually after sundown. If it's a very large area, then we can actually start sending out the planes or use the helicopters.
Those trucks, planes, and helicopters spray a mist of chemicals that treat mosquito-prone sections of the community, keeping the little buggers' numbers from swelling like the bites I received while filming them today. Redevin says we're just far too attractive to the insects.
A flowery fragrance, that is an attractant. Something sugary is attractant to a mosquito. Carbon dioxide coming out of your skin, they sense that and they're looking for you.
Now, while there's no way to keep from getting bitten here in Southwest Florida by a mosquito, you can decrease your chances. Shelley says wear long pants. You can wear long sleeves. Of course, stay away from wet areas, especially after it rains. Mosquitoes, they hide during the rain, but then after that rain is done, they come out because they do love that moisture. And above and beyond everything else, get yourself a good bug spray. In Lehigh Acres, January Keaton, Fox 4 website. The facility is a biomedical research company, but animal rights organization PETA calling it a virtual den of death for the monkeys housed there, thanks to an undercover operation that captured the conditions inside the Hendry County compound on hidden video.
So very sad. It makes me furious.
The abuse should be stopped.
Folks speaking out in horror after controversial undercover video showing what's described as deplorable conditions at primate products. Monkeys allegedly with excruciating injuries, little to no medical care, left to die in cold cages.
PETA had an observer working for 8 months undercover at Primate Products in Hendry County. While working full-time for the facility, this person was also documenting very carefully, painstakingly, every single day with video and photographs.
Dan Payton is an associate director with PETA. He says the USDA inspected the monkey farm last week after this eyewitness video, taken by an investigator with PETA, appeared to show grave mistreatment and abuse of the animals housed there.
These animals were violently captured, chased around those pens, stuffed into nets, how those animals were denied veterinary care and so forth. We took those findings to the USDA and we asked them to conduct an emergency inspection of the facility.
Payton says inspectors made 8
findings of non-compliance with the USDA's Animal Welfare Act. An official with Primate Products sent us a statement today saying, quote, "Video is always going to be damaging, especially when it's taken out of context. Pictures depicting animals with injuries and suggesting that they were not being cared for is just misleading. With that said, there are opportunities to improve on our program, and we are determined to do just that." But Payton wants the facility shut down altogether.
These animals feel fear and pain and stress and terror and anxiety and suffer just as we do.
Now, in their statement to us, Primate Products says its capture techniques can be reevaluated and more attention focused on minimizing stress on the animals. The facility has 21 days to either appeal the report or make the changes suggested by the USDA. Facility officials say they look forward to making those changes.
John, Lydia, I'm here at Integra Networks. Now, shout out to Dave Prescott really quickly. I promised I would say that because he donated this entire airport hangar to Toys for Tots for this very reason. I'm going to let you see what's going on back here. A couple of dozen people still sorting after you mentioned them emptying out all 600 of those Toys for Tots donation boxes, and now this is where they go. They're going to be sorted, they're going to be bagged, and they're going to be given to agencies to distribute to needy Capital Region children.
This will go for a little girl, so 0 to 3 girls.
This doll, just one of the countless toys collected in these familiar 4x2-foot cardboard boxes. Today, Toys for Tots volunteers picked up the last of the 600 toy donation boxes scattered around the Capital Region. Through your generosity, these boxes bring a brighter Christmas to over 100,000 less fortunate children each year.
All these toys are from collections from the Capital Region. We have about 600 drop-off locations, and we encourage the agencies to take more people, and that's what's happened. I've had agencies come back to us and tell us, we need more toys because we had 3 more calls, which that's great.
And it's no easy feat getting toys and stocking stuffers to 100,000 Capital Region kids. So Gunnery Sergeant Albert Roman coordinates this bustling beehive of unwrapping, separating, tagging, and bagging toys as a virtual assembly line.
I facilitate, they make it happen.
He says he couldn't do it without help from local Marine and firefighter volunteers.
I'm just traffic control.
You're traffic control?
I'm just traffic control. That's all.
They're the laborers.
They're the laborers, they're the guys, and they're happy.
Happy to say this year, every toy request has been filled. And by the end of this broadcast, the final deliveries will have been picked up or dropped off, a full day ahead of schedule.
You'll see agencies pulling into the front of the warehouse. They'll come up with their order slip, and the guys will give them their order, they sign for it, and off they go, and then the agencies will start delivering to the families.
Each toy that helped fill these boxes on its way to making a child's holiday a little happier. Now, back here live at the Toys for Tots headquarters, you can see a couple of dozen volunteers still out here. They're packaging up the last-minute toys, and also they'll be cleaning up the hangar, getting it all ready for next year. Now, I asked the gunnery sergeant you just saw there in charge a tally of how many toys they got this year versus last year. He said he's been so busy he has not been able to get those numbers up and running. But he did tell me that if you are still interested in donating, there's still time. Just because the boxes are gone doesn't mean they stopped taking donations. He said you can donate, take a toy down new in its original packaging to the Troy Fire Department, the Schenectady Fire Department, or you can bring it right here behind the airport inside of Integra Networks to the Toys for Tots headquarters. In Colony, January Keaton, News 10 ABC. Out here on Ebsen Drive here in North Fort Myers, still trying to figure out what happened. A man was shot right in this shared sort of driveway in this trailer community. And as you can see, police are still on the scene here trying to figure out why. 7:30 a.m. People usually wake up to the sound of alarm clocks, but this morning, the sound of gunfire pierced the air. Police say a shooting happened in this cluster of trailer homes in the Suncoast neighborhood, an area that has seen better days.
You got people out here robbing people, out here murdering people over stupid stuff.
Little kids could walk around, with no problem. Now they can't even do that.
The 41-year-old male victim was rushed to the hospital with 5 bullet wounds to the back, hip, buttocks, and abdomen. Residents say the shooting shooting may be drug-related.
There is playground and stuff, and, you know, so I mean, I'm scared for more of the kids.
One neighbor who asked us not to show her face and to only call her Crystal says drugs, crime, and violence are nothing new in Suncoast.
Home invasions and like stealing and robberies and stuff like that. Yeah, there's a big problem with drugs, yeah. Most definitely.
This afternoon, Lee County Sheriff's officers handcuffed and removed a woman from a trailer at the scene of the shooting and took her in for questioning. So far, though, police have not named a suspect or a motive. Now back here live on Epson Drive in North Fort Myers, I did speak exclusively to the brother of the victim. He sort of approached us this morning as we were on the scene, and he did tell me that his brother is going to be okay. He got out of surgery this morning and he is in stable condition, but he says this also may have been drug related. He did give us that information. So of course we're going to stay on top of this story and we'll bring you more as it becomes available. For now, I'm live in North Fort Myers. January Keaton, Fox 4. They held a press conference today, and at that briefing they said that through witness statements as well as surveillance video from cameras mounted on a nearby home, they were able to catch Matthew Tolliver. And they said when they arrested him last night, he admitted he did set fire to the home that used to stand behind me here at 22 Minder Street.
It was information we received from other individuals, that in combination with some of our surveillance cameras, which led to the arrest of this individual.
Tolliver, who was arrested last night, told police he set the fire yesterday at 22 Minder Street after helping a friend move that morning. That friend had last month been evicted due to unsanitary living conditions.
We certainly have a case to go forward to the grand jury, and it would be appropriate to ask the grand jury to consider charges of burglary, perhaps, which would be a C violent felony, which would potentially subject him to up to 15 years in prison.
Police say that burglary charge could be tacked on because after Tolliver and his friend were finished moving, Tolliver later returned to the residence and for some reason torched it, reportedly using a lighter to set fire to some debris inside.
When you saw two kids go in the house, I think they thought somebody else was in there. And that was it. They came back outside. Nobody else came outside, though, and then the fire department pulled up fast.
Firefighter Michael Komazinski and Fire Chief Michael Della Rocco, seen here with his hand bandaged from burns, suffered minor injuries fighting the blaze.
I ended up with some blistering, and some of the blisters broke, which is kind of painful, but could have been worse.
Now, you can see behind me nothing but a tarp left. Underneath it, the charred remains of what used to be 22 Minder Street. Police are still trying to figure out a motive. When Tolliver was arrested last night, he gave no reason why he came back and torched the house. Meantime, he is in the Schenectady County Jail on $75,000 cash bond. He's facing a total of 3 charges, 1 of third-degree arson and 2 second-degree assault charges for those 2 firefighters who were injured in that blaze that he allegedly set. Live in Schenectady, January Keaton, News 10 ABC. Well, Mark, if crime happens in Troy tonight, in the next 72 hours, virtually all information on that crime will be accessible online to anyone in the world through the Troy Police Department website. The city of Troy keeping residents and officers up to date on citywide crime by way of the World Wide Web.
You would just go in, type in your address, and then you can basically select out only robberies. You can select out robberies that are within either the past few days, or you can go all the way back to the beginning of 2011.
Troy Police crime analyst Andrew Wheeler works the software for the department. He says instead of lists of addresses and phone numbers, little houses and other icons pop up representing each crime that has occurred in Troy since the beginning of 2011, except sexual assaults and domestic violence.
Right now it looks like it's a half-a-mile radius, but you can change it to a lot smaller. So here's 1,000 feet, which is basically only the next couple blocks. And so basically on the map, you can say, just show me the crimes that are in this buffer.
Even Troy's mayor already tracking crime in his neck of the woods.
Will you be using this system? Will you be kind of checking up on it?
I already plugged my own address in there, check what's going on in my neighborhood. So yes.
Now, Troy is just the second community in the entire state to utilize this software. If you want more information on the crime mapping software, go to our website, news10.com. I posted a link in our links section. Live in Troy, January Keaton, News 10 ABC. Mark, Elisa, 8 officers in all were promoted here this morning at City Hall, including Clifford Young, officer, now sergeant. And his sons say they're just happy to be spending a little more time with Dad now. Albany City Hall's rotunda was packed this morning as a ceremony recognizing the hard work and dedication of some of Albany's finest was held. Assistant Chief Brandon Cox became Deputy Chief. Detective Sergeant Michael Hicks and Sergeant Eric Cotter became commanders. And 6 men, detectives and officers, all became sergeants. Officer Clifford Young was one of them, much to his mother Henrietta's delight.
And I'm just excited and thrilled today. Cliff has always been a caring son, and he's just a general good person.
None of this would have been without my mother and without my father raising me, and instilling responsibility and determination in me to just try my best to succeed.
Young's wife Pamela says it's been a long road of worry, but it's been well worth it.
He's wanted to be sergeant for a long time, and I know this means a lot to him and therefore a lot to us as well. We're extremely proud of him.
And Young's 2 sons say Dad was a very busy officer. Having him as a sergeant now means he'll have a bit more time at home.
We have time to do more stuff since he's sergeant, and that I'm really proud of him.
We could do some of the stuff that we weren't able to do before. Yeah, it'd be home during the day a lot more.
Sergeant Young couldn't be more proud of his achievement, and he's ready to make a difference at the Albany Police Department.
It means responsibility. It means finally being able to have some say in how things are going to work in my squad. It's a job that's been so exciting and so fun over the years. Every day something different, and my 19 and a half years have flown by.
And many, many more years to come on the force, I'm sure. Now, a little side note here. Mayor Jerry Jennings was also on hand at today's ceremony. The police ceremony today, his very last police ceremony as mayor. In Albany, January Keaton, News 10 ABC.